Hello everybody and welcome to Sin City Living. My name is Jason. I'll be bringing you today's video. Just had a few things I wanted to go over real fast. First, our usual shout out of appreciation to all of our patrons out there. We appreciate all those tips and support, and hope you guys are enjoying the videos that we put out for you guys exclusively every single week, including the How to Deal Craps instructional set that is ongoing. And if you're curious about it, go ahead and check the description of the video down below. And also, I wanted to go over, we've had a couple of questions about the this little neon light thing that we've been putting on some of our other videos. So if anybody's interested in one of these, just shoot us an email at sincityliving.lv@gmail.com. And so I did another test of our live stream, another attempt to do the live stream. So I now know that I have the right equipment, the right camera, the right programming, able to get all of that done. Unfortunately, what I did discover is that my computer was not strong enough, was not powerful enough to be able to encode and upload it as an actual live stream. So I'm going to continue tweaking with that, although it may turn out that I'm just going to have to wait until I can afford to buy a newer, more powerful computer for that. So that will be on the list. So it does look like live streaming may not be as upcoming as I was hoping. It's going to take us a little bit of time to generate that up. And otherwise, please make sure you email us with any questions, strategies, anything you would like us to video. We love shooting these videos for you guys. If not, I'm going to go straight into today's video. So for today's video, I want to talk about bad habits of dealers. On one of our previous videos, I talked about some of the bad habits of players, or some of the bad things that players can do. So I wanted to follow that up with some of the bad habits that dealers can do, especially for those of you guys that are dealers out there, aspiring dealers, maybe dealers in training, and even for the players out there to be able to see the things that can make a difference on the table. You know, and I also wanted to make sure, since I was showing bad habits that players can do, that I also wanted to point out and show that dealers are human as well. And there's, just like any other job, any other industry, there are some that are better than others, and some habits that can definitely occur. So this is actually going to be kind of two parts. Well, not kind of, it is going to be two parts. And the reason for that is because there's basically two sides to bad habits that dealers have. So I'm going to break it down. The first section is going to be on bad habits that dealers can have from a player's perspective, from things that dealers can do that impact the player's experience, the player's game, and sometimes even the player's success. Dealers can definitely have an impact on players' success, both negative and positive. It's one of the reasons that we always recommend listen to your dealers. Your dealers are there for you to make money. The dealers make 80%, or 60 to 80% of their money from the players, not from the casino. The majority of our income comes from the players, so we want the players to win. So the dealers are going to help you and try and win the most money possible. So that's going to be the first half. The second half of this video is going to be additional bad habits that dealers have from the box or supervisor's point of view. Now, the first section, all the things from the player's point of view, are just as important to the supervisor. Believe me, we see far more than the players do, and all those things that impact the players, we notice, we talk about, we see, and we definitely, I guess you could say, make mental notes about those kind of things. But again, there are a lot of things that we see from the supervisor side of things, the boxman side of things, that the players don't notice, but also make a huge difference and are definitely very bad habits. So starting out with some of the bad habits that you see that impact the player. Dealers' bad habits that impact the player. One of the first ones comes down to what's going to likely be a recurring theme in this video, and that is laziness. Dealers that get a little bit lazy, and it can happen, it can really impact the players when it comes to players making their bets in areas that are not self-serving betting areas, such as the field, the come, the pass line, don't pass, stuff like that. But I'm talking about bets that the dealers actually have to set up. and laziness can come into play. And here's what I mean by that. Let's see. Here's a great example. So we mark a point. Let's say the point is 8, okay? And this player right here throws out $55 and says, I want to get across. And let's say we're on a $10 minimum bet table. So we know that is 52 across, okay? So the dealer goes, okay, you want 52 across, that's a bet. And just as they're bringing this 52 over to the box, because since we're not using that money, we actually have to bring it over and leave it for the box to see. Just as they're bringing that over, we have a player that over here, let's say, that throws in this and says, I want a 5 and 6. So we just brought this over, said, okay, you've got 52 across, or you've got a cross, that's a bet. And before we start setting it up, another player throws in a bet that's really easy. We already have the chips necessary in order to set up their bet. So the dealer just goes, you got a 5 and 6, you got a bet. And now they grab the money for the first player's bet, and they go and they set it up. Now hopefully you guys notice what may have happened here, and I do see this, I'm not going to say often, but I do see this happen often enough that it sticks out in my head. What happened is the train of thought got broken. Bring over the money, get ready to start setting up the bet. Other player throws in a simple bet. We set it up. In our heads, we're going 52 across, 52 across, 52 across. Grab the money, set up the 52 across. We never gave the player their change. Now, the player's going to notice it, or the stick man, or the box man. Somebody's going to notice it and say something, and the dealer's going to go, "Oh crap, that's right," and go ahead and give the money out to the player, give the change out. That would have been eliminated if the dealer had not gotten lazy. And what do I mean by that? Well, the thing is, you're taught to only do one thing at a time. So let me get across. Okay, so you've got across. You got this player. I want a 5 and 6. Okay, you've got a 5 and 6 coming. So we've got 55 across. So you get 3 change, and we've got 55 across. Now I go back and I set up this player's. I do one thing at a time. I finish one thing at a time. That's going to make a huge, huge, huge difference on eliminating a lot of mistakes. Another common one that I see, and you guys can't see my working stack, so I'll do my best to verbalize this one out. Another common one I see, and I see this both in the center action and over here, is let's say a player throws in a stack of money and says, I want to cross. Actually, you know what? Let me make this even better. Player throws in a stack of money and says, I want to cross. The dealer goes, okay, you've got a cross. Since there's a green in there, what they should do is the proper thing to do is to take all of this money and put it over in front of the box and say that is a cross, and let the box double check to make sure that the amount of money is correct. Second thing to do would be to leave the reds out there, bring the green to the box, and change it, bring out enough red. The improper thing, and yet what I see a lot of very, very poor dealers do, very weak dealers, is, and when I say weak, I mean lazy, because I see this a lot for dealers that have been dealing 10, 15, 20 years too. Bring it in, drop the green down, take this stack of red. Let me bring my working stack out. Pretend this is my working stack back here, right? And my working stack of green. So they'll take it, they'll drop the green down, and then they'll do that. They'll grab a ton of red. They take the original red, slap it on top, you grab a ton of red. And now they go through and they set up the bets, and they're done. They may even give the player 3 change. But here's the thing. The player only threw $50 in. They didn't throw 55 in. But because the dealer took the money and basically mucked it into their working stacks, there's absolutely no way to tell. There's no way to tell that they threw in the proper amount of money. This happens a lot with bets, both center action bets and bets up here, where the dealers, instead of leaving the money separate, which the money should always be left separate until you have finished setting up the bet and that money has been verified. I see a lot of dealers bring it straight into their working stacks, set up the bets, and then we end up with an issue. We end up with an issue where they're giving somebody change. They basically gave someone $5 free. Not that big a deal. If we don't catch it until afterwards, the box may not even say anything. They may go, it's a couple bucks, I'm not going to worry about it. Let's just keep this roll going. Or the box may say, sir, you got to drop down those three. You got to drop down $5. You didn't have enough money. But the problem is because all that money got locked up, and the player says, but I did have enough money. I gave you enough money. How do you prove it? Because all that money got locked up. Lazy dealer. Lazy dealer skipping their procedures. Procedures exist for a reason. It's game protection. Protect the dealers. Another very, very, very bad habit that I see, also coming along with the laziness, is not paying attention to the layout. Not paying attention to the layout, just staring off into the ether, off into the void, having an existential crisis, and just not paying attention in any way, shape, or form. And you've got a player that's got, their line bet, their odds. There's probably some other bets. Maybe there's some field bets in here. You've got a couple other players with some bets. And the dice come through. Right? And even that's not violent enough. The dice come flying through and smash through all those bets. And the dealer stands there and looks at it and goes, I don't know where all that went. You don't know where all that went because you weren't casing your layout. You were staring off into space. If you were casing your layout and paying attention, you would know that that's where everything went. Because you were paying attention, not staring off into the ether. So that is a very bad habit. Another really bad habit that I see that also comes down to dealer laziness is the base dealer. The dealer is over here, it's on the base, it's dealing, is supposed to book every single bet. Every bet for center action theoretically should be booked twice. It should be booked by two people. It should be booked by a dealer here and the dealer over there. If not, then by the dealer here and the box person. But two people should book every bet. I actually ran into this today. And it sticks out in my head because I ran into it multiple times today. I ran into it multiple times every single day. So I was sitting box, and we have a player that throws in a chip. The dice have already moved. So the stick person can no longer look down here, look backwards because the dice were going that way, the shooter was over there. So the stick person's back is to this person. They don't see the chip land, they see nothing. Right? So the player throws in a chip. Actually, I'm going to go even with a smaller one. So the player throws in a chip. Says, I want a three-way crap. The dealer just stood there like a lump of coal. Just stood there like a mannequin, like a statue. Likely because they were staring off into the ether. So as the box person, I booked the bet. $3 three-way crap to change after the roll. The dealer, especially on a late bet, the dealer right here, they're 100% responsible for booking those bets. If they do not book those bets, then they need to say no bet, but they cannot stand there mute. They have to say something. Otherwise, they are opening things up for a shot or a jackpot to be taken. What if the dealer just stood there like a mute lump and a 12 rolls? Then they go to try and give the player $2 change, and the player's like, no, I bet a $5 three-way crap. Nobody said a word otherwise. So we now have an improper three-way crap that I definitely know how to pay, but not a lot of dealers know the key to figuring out that bet. That would pay $46. The three-way crap pays $21 or $46 on an improper $5 bet. But go the other way. So the dealer says nothing, the dice land, and it's say a 6. Right? Now the player's saying, where's my $2 change? Nobody said anything about a three-way crap, $3 to change after the roll. But because this is improper, they are certainly within their realm of possibility to ask for their change and think they deserve their change. Guaranteed, should a 12 have rolled, they wouldn't want their change. And they would want to be paid for a $5 three-way crap. And again, laziness. 100% pure laziness. There is no other excuse for that to happen other than the dealer just, again, not paying attention. You also come across that with place bets. So we've got a come out roll. And obviously, just from looking at this, we're coming out after a winner. You can tell we're coming out after a winner. You can even tell what the previous point was. So we've got a come out roll. And the dice roll, and it doesn't even matter what the point is. The point is 4. All right. 4 lands, and the dealer marks the point and then stands there. Why? Because they're lazy. What they should be doing is, sir, where would you like to move your 4? Like to go to the 9? Absolutely. Would you like to go to the 9? If they are across, so there's only one opening, then chances are you're just going to move them and say, hey, I'm moving you over to the 9. Is that okay? You still need to say something. There we go. I do occasionally see dealers that'll just stand there. Again, looking off into the ether. Makes no sense to me. Another one comes with helping the players out. Now, this is 100% not the dealer's job, but it is something that the dealers should be doing with some exceptions. The dealers should be helping players out. If the player has been playing the pass line bet with odds all night, we just had a come out roll, the player is getting a drink from the cocktail waitress or something like that. We mark the point. We move whatever place bets need to be moved. We're getting ready to move the dice. The dealer's just standing there like a lump. The dealer should be saying, hey, don't forget your odds. Don't forget your odds. The point is 4. We now have a point. Don't forget your odds. Get your odds in there. They should be reminding them. Same thing with the center action. Hey, your hard 4 is down. Did you want that hard 4 back? Hey, your hard 6 came down on the winner. Do you want that hard 6 back? Hey, you always have a C and E. Would you like your C and E? They should be asking the players about the things that they bet all the time. Of course, we want to sell some of these bets, but you do it on the come-out rolls, and that's it. But once there's a point, you help the players. Hey, don't forget your field bet, especially if they're playing, say, the I cross. Hey, don't forget your field bet. Want to get that field bet? Get that field bet made over there. Now, again, it is technically not the dealer's job. So don't expect that the dealer should automatically be doing this stuff. A good dealer will for most players, but again, not the dealer's job. We are not here to bet the players' money for them, and we're not supposed to tell them where to bet their money. That is 100% something we actually get in trouble for. We're not supposed to tell them where to bet their money. So we're not supposed to encourage them to make certain bets and stuff like that. We are here to deal with the bets that the player has made of their own volition. So it is not the dealer's job to remind players of missing things or missing bets. But again, they should do it. Why would a dealer not do it? 1, laziness. 2, they're overwhelmed. Maybe they're a new dealer, a weak dealer, such like that. Or 3, maybe the player has made it into a situation where such help is unwelcome. If the dealer makes a suggestion once or twice and the player says no thanks, cool. We'll still continue to make suggestions. Hey, would you like some odds over there? No, not yet. I like to wait a couple rolls. Okay, yeah, no problem. After a couple of rolls, hey, it's been a couple of rolls. You ready to do those odds? Or, hey, would you like some odds over there? Don't tell me how to bet my money. You're just trying to take my money. You work for the casino. Okay, we will never give you another suggestion again. That's just, we're not going to get our heads bitten off for trying to be nice. It's just not going to happen. If this player, we're in the middle of a 10, 15-minute roll, this player throws the shooter $100, hey, great roll, thanks, shooter, and is not yet, not saying it couldn't happen at the end of the roll, but is not yet tipped the dealers in any way, shape, or form, despite stroking the heck out of them on the bets. At that point, the dealer is going to assume that player that just got tipped is going to remind this player about all those things that they are missing, their odds, their field bets, hard ways that may have come down, things along those lines, because apparently that player is the one doing all the work. And also, if the player is too drunk, that's one of the reasons that I see dealers just be quiet and just let a player do or not do whatever's going to happen. If we remind somebody like 20 times, hey, that your max odds is such and such, or hey, don't forget your odds, and they're so drunk they just cannot seem to grasp it. At a certain point, we just stop worrying about it. It's kind of like I've seen this happen. We just came out, and we're telling them, you're asking the player, hey, where would you like to move? Where would you like to move? And they're just blitzed, hammered, and just hemming and hawing. We move on to the next player. Hey, where would you like to move? Hey, where would you like to move? And the next time there's a come out roll, I mean, let's say we do eventually talk them into moving. Next time there's a come out roll, boom. Instead of saying, hey, where would you like to move, and getting the blank look of confusion again, we're just going to leave them there. If a winner comes, awesome, they're going to get paid there in addition to their line bet, their odds, and anything like that. But if not, for 5 rolls, sorry for your luck, but the dealers are not going to bang their heads against the brick wall over and over and over and over again as well. So basically cross-eyed drunk is going to cause the players to basically shut down a little bit as well, because you can't help somebody that is just flat out beyond help. So those are some of, that's most definitely not all, but those are some of the things that are bad habits for dealers from a player's aspect that can affect a player's game. So next I want to talk about some of the bad habits that only are noticed by the supervisors, but are just as bad, if not worse. So again, I want to reiterate that these habits are things that the players may not necessarily notice, but the supervisor or box most definitely will notice. And like I said, these could be as bad, if not worse, than the other ones. Why? Because these are the kind of things that can affect whether or not a dealer becomes full-time, whether or not a dealer gets to specific crews, whether or not a dealer is allowed to switch crews, request certain shifts, or get promoted. Lots of dealers that want to eventually move on up in the industry. They don't want to spend 30, 40 years dealing. They want to eventually become suits and then pit bosses and shift managers, casino managers, stuff like that, right? And these things definitely matter. And even just, again, the most simple things. Maybe the dealer wants to switch shifts. Well, if the dealer wants to switch shifts and the shift they want to move to asks the current shift, how are they? Well, the current shift might say, well, they've got a lot of bad habits and they're really lazy. Then the other shift is going to say, well, no thanks, I don't want them. So these things are just as, if not more important. Now, some of it, laziness. Laziness comes into play in a lot of ways. You can't see me standing back here, so I'm going to show you some visuals of it where you can see it. Part of laziness is posture. You will have dealers that will sit there, what we call handstanding, and they'll do it back on the rail as well while they're waiting for the dice to be thrown. They just lean on the rail, one hand on it, cock one hip to the side, stare off into nothing, and just slouch. But they can do the same thing when paying. We call this handstanding. Let's say a 6 rolls, and the dealer just goes. That right there was, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 things wrong. 4 procedures that were broken in that. All due to laziness. Procedure number 1. They're handstanding. They're right here. Now see, nowadays, because of HR and just the evolution of the business as it becomes more corporate, some of the things can't happen that used to happen 20 years ago. My friends that have been in this industry for 30, 40 years tell me that back in the day, if a dealer did this, the stick person would jerk their arm out from under them as soon as they put all their weight on it. Or the box, all right? So that's number 1. Number 2, and it kind of goes hand in hand with number 2. Number 2 is the fact that a 2-handed dealer is always faster than a 1-handed dealer. You were taught to use both hands to cut out the payments, not one hand to cut the payments. Procedure number 3, you always hand off money with your outside hand, not with your inside hand. Procedure number 4 that they broke. This money, when it's handed off with the outside hand, is also past the pass line. And technically, procedure number 5, all money is healed off when it's handed out. So just one little bit of laziness actually breaks 5 procedures. Terrible, 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 terrible. Makes a huge difference. Dealers that deal like that, believe me, every box, every supervisor notices it. Every box, every supervisor has commented on it amongst themselves. And to them, that is a lazy dealer. We have an opening show up, and it happens to be on one of our best crews because maybe somebody got promoted or somebody is moving on or going to a different shift, and it's one of our best crews, and it's, say, a cherry time slot that everybody wants. This player's like, hey, I want that time slot. Okay, we'll take a look, and then a day later, unfortunately somebody else got it ahead of you. And somebody else got it ahead of you because they actually deserved it and don't take shortcuts and aren't lazy. Right? Another one that can come up, keep using the 6. 6 rolls, player throws in some money, the dealer just grabs everything, locks it up, sets up the bet. First off, they should have brought the money off to the side. Second off, they should have given the player their change. Third off, they should not have come straight to their working stacks and locked the money up. Sheer laziness. Lazy, lazy, lazy. Very, very bad. Not what you want to see. Not what you want to see. Another one that the players actually do, some players actually find some of this stuff entertaining and amusing, but the supervisors in the box and the other dealers, the experienced, most skilled dealers, absolutely hate this stuff. And most of this, and what I'm about to go over, are things that typically newer dealers, not brand new dealers, but typically dealers that have been dealing between 1 to 3 years do this kind of stuff. I call it, hey, look at me dealing, or attention whore dealing. And it's basically trying to have all this flashy stuff to draw the eye, to make the idea, I guess, in their head is that the players think, oh, that dealer looks cool, or that dealer knows what they're doing, or that dealer, oh, they've got some cool moves. It almost always comes down to, look at me, look how cool I am. And in reality, to the other dealers, to the box, to the supervisors, pit bosses, they not only don't look cool, they look immature, they look flashy, they look inefficient, and they look slow because they're doing all this stupid little stuff. Here's an example for you. $12 6. I keep going back to the 6 because it's right in front of me. It's the easiest one to show this. $12 6 and the 6 roll. So the payout is $14. The proper way to do it, you cut out $14, you clear your hands away from the money, so you bring it out, move your hands away, stack it up with your outside hand, and then hand it off. Healed off. Hey, look at me. Look how cool I am dealing is you bring it out, cock your arm so that you can slap it underneath. Hey, look how cool that looked. Yeah, okay, yeah. Maybe once. But to the other dealers, you're like an idiot. This doesn't look cool. This just looks like, what are you, 12? Doesn't mean that there are not the occasional type of moves for efficiency. We may bring this out and then slap it underneath. But there's none of this, hey, look what I'm about to do. Sliding it under. It's drop it down, and then we might pop it underneath with our finger. But we followed every single procedure prior to that. When you do this, at no point did you actually cut out the money and move your hands. You just, hey, look how cool I am, and then go to hand it off. But if we go, it's actually a little bit tougher to do this way, but if we do that, we actually followed every single procedure. We cleared our hands, we dropped it down, moved our hands away from it, then popped it underneath, so it was just a little bit quicker and a little bit smoother. We didn't do this big swing our arm. Just looked like, honestly, it just looks like a child. And typically, when it's talked about amongst the other dealers, that kind of becomes the general thinking. And you also get that a lot with the center action or stuff. You see dealers occasionally that will sit there and pop the chip so that it rolls backwards. And so they just pop it and then move their hand and it just kind of skids and then it just rolls backwards. Once, okay, yeah, cool. More than that, okay, stop. Just stop. Just tap the chip and move on. Like you're wasting time and you're just trying to draw attention to yourself. I also see dealers that have these cool little ways of picking up the chips and stuff like that. Again, all attention whore stuff that drives the supervisors, the other dealers, especially the other dealers, the good dealers, drives them absolutely nuts. They're just going to mercilessly mock this dealer, but not to their face. But they'll generally talk. They may give this dealer a lot of crap while they're dealing, correct him on a lot of things, and say, hey, come on, speed it up, let's do that. They're basically trying to tell him, hey, stop with all the flashy junk. But amongst themselves, they're likely going to make a lot of fun of this particular dealer for just doing all this flashy stuff that is nothing but trying to draw the eye. The absolute best dealers that I know are so understated, so efficient, so calm, so collected, so quiet. They're of course helping out the players and stuff like that, but they're just so professional in what they do. And they're the ones that impress everybody the most. They're the ones that the supervisors are always trying to convince to take dual rate positions and eventually get promoted up, stuff like that, because they follow procedure, they're proper, and they're just doing their jobs. They're entertaining, they talk to the customers, they engage their guests, but they're not doing all this, hey, look at me dealing. In fact, generally the absolute best dealers are dealing in the most unobtrusive way possible. And it'll look slow, and yet they're always done first because they're efficient, they're smooth and efficient. We've got these, we've got the dealer. Let me see here. We've got the dealer trying to do all these, hey, look how cool I am moves. So cool. Oops, I don't know why I set that one up that way. It's actually tough to do with 4. And then, of course, they'll get to the one they really can't do that with, and they just hand it off. Then you've got the very understated, very calm, collected, quiet dealer that's not slamming the chips around. You can barely even hear them while they're dealing. They just have their heads down, very slowly, very carefully. They are just paying everything out. Those dealers are the most impressive. Those are the best dealers. Those are the dealers that everybody is impressed with. Not the flashy, look at me, but the ones that are not trying to draw the eye. Because you know what? As the dealer, we are not the focus of this game. The dice are. If I'm entertaining my customers, and I do quite a bit, it's while I am talking to them. Not while I am actually doing my job, because when I'm actually doing my job, the mechanics of dealing, I need to do it as quickly and efficiently as possible so I get us to the next roll. Honestly, the players don't care about watching all this flashy look at me crap. They want to get to the next roll. That's it. Just the next roll. Another thing that the supervisors absolutely hate seeing, hand to hand. I need to pay someone $14, so I'm going to take $14 out of my working stacks, do this, and just hand it off. We miss so many procedures right there. First procedure that we skipped is that. Second procedure that we skipped is you never go hand to hand with chips. That is incredibly lazy. Incredibly lazy. Then you've got the lazy dealers that, say, oh, I'm too short to reach over there or something like that. Yet, for 7 outcomes, they'll damn sure be able to get that. And I've worked with some people that are 4.5 feet tall, and we're able to get all that, and we're able to pay things properly. But no, instead, you've got the lazy dealer that goes, I have seen that, and it's every single payout. That is incredibly, incredibly, incredibly lazy. Great way to be absolutely despised by your coworkers. Another one that supervisors absolutely hate seeing. Now, obviously, some of them, one of the things that supervisors hate seeing is dealers that don't know procedures, which is impossible because you went to a dealing school, you learn the procedures. So by not doing the procedures, you're choosing not to do them, which again goes to laziness. Or again, dealers that don't do procedures. Procedures exist for a reason. Dealers that don't do procedures are considered the worst dealers in the pit. And simple. Now, another one that is considered extremely weak and just drives people crazy amongst dealers and supervisors one of the challenges that I used to give my students as they were paying things is try and pay as quietly as possible. You want to be whisper quiet. The best dealers make almost no sound at all when they're dealing, especially with music playing and stuff like that. Everything is so quiet and so efficient, and they're just going nice and quiet. That is fantastic dealing. It's one of the greatest compliments another dealer could say about a dealer is they're very quiet when they deal. What are the weak dealers? And I'm not kidding. There's dealers that everything is pounded. It's like a Clydesdale is prancing across the table. And no, wait, that's not a horse running around. It's the, whoops. It's the dealer who likes to slam everything around, including onto their working stacks. Slam everything around. Like, what on earth is going on there? Terrible, terrible, terrible habit. Not something the players may necessarily notice, but definitely something the other dealers will notice. So again, this isn't a comprehensive list of everything, just some hints, especially for those dealers out there that may want to improve their games or avoid some of the habits that they'll see other dealers doing, so that's what they start doing. A lot of times when I see this stuff, it's not that people are consciously choosing to no longer do the right thing. It's because they see 3 out of every 7 dealers, even 3 out of every 5 dealers, depending where you're at, doing all of these things. Being lazy, avoiding procedure, skipping procedure, being loud, slamming the chips, so on and so forth. So they think that's what they're supposed to do. They think that's what it actually means to become a better dealer, is by becoming lazy. You look cooler by being lazy, because that's what they see. They see all these dealers that do that, so they think that's what the next level of dealing is. It's not. It's absolutely not the next level of dealing. When you see these dealers that have been dealing for 20 years doing stuff like that, they're not going to say all the time, maybe a quarter of the time, that's the reason they've been dealing for 20 years. A lot of dealers that deal for 20, 30 years, it's because they want to. I've seen so many dealers turn down promotional opportunities because they're very happy with what they're doing, because this is a fun thing to do. It's a fun job. It's an easy job. But then there's a lot of dealers that have wanted to move up and were unable to and never figured out why. So eventually they just became, they hate me, or, it's not my fault, or so-and-so just doesn't like me, or they're holding me down. And they don't actually go back and examine their game and what they're doing and realize that it's because they developed all these bad habits. So again, I hope you guys find this interesting, enlightening, illuminating, amusing, or at least just plain fun. Thank you everybody for watching. We will catch you next time. Bye now. So, as I promised, I wanted to go over very briefly our upcoming attempts at a third test live stream. So what's happened so far? The first test live stream just flat didn't work. The problem that I had was was an equipment problem. I had an equipment problem in that the equipment that I was using to translate the camera into streamable video to the computer required a better USB port than the computer I was using at the time. So that one just flat failed because it would not translate into the computer. The computer would not pick it up, would not read it, so I wasn't able to live stream it. So then, as I was looking through, because I'm a little bit of a tech head, as I was looking through all of my other stuff, because I do have 4 laptops here and 3 computers, I did find one that actually did have the newer style USB port. Unfortunately, it was actually my oldest laptop, but I figured, what the heck, let me give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? And this time around, when I fired everything up, the video was actually translating onto the computer, so things were looking better. But then when I attempted to live stream, the computer was not powerful enough to be able to translate it and then upload it sufficiently. So it basically just uploaded a blank screen for the live stream. So what I am going to have to do is, and I'm already looking into all of my options, I'm going to upgrade my computer so I can add, a 7th, 8th computer to my household. And I'm going to go much, much higher, and I'm going to get a computer that is far more than I need for this, far, far, far more powerful than I need for this. That way, any future upgrades that I may do, the computer will be able to handle it. So unfortunately, this computer is going to cost me about 25% more, about 25% of what I've already laid out in all the equipment for this channel, so it wasn't something that I could just instantly buy. I'm probably looking at Black Friday or Cyber Monday, so hopefully I have it within the next couple of weeks, and then I'll do another test live stream and see if I can go from there. So I will definitely do at least one weekly live stream on our Patreon, because they're the ones that are really helping us get this computer and the other equipment that I'm going to get, because I figure if I'm buying the computer, I might as well buy the most high-end capture cards and things along those lines, get everything as good as possible, and then hopefully eventually get a better microphone for you guys. So yeah, that's where we stand on the live stream. As soon as I have the computer and I do the test, which will be in a few weeks, like I said, I've got to order it in a week or two, then I have to wait for it to ship. Plus we have probably the biggest event of the year coming up, the NFR National Finals Rodeo. So I'm basically working 2 weeks straight, as is my wife. So not going to have a whole lot of time. But once we get all that under control, then we'll figure out. There's been some schedule changes to myself, some schedule changes to my wife, and some upcoming schedule changes to my wife as well. So hopefully we can get all the scheduling figured out so I know when I'll be able to live stream as well. My initial plan of Thursdays at 6 o'clock is already out the window. I'm at work at that point now. So we will get it all figured out, and we will let you guys know, I promise. And otherwise, I hope you guys have found this interesting, enlightening, illuminating, or at least just plain fun. And we will catch you guys next time. Bye now.